I love every military service out there, but I want to call one out in particular. How many United States Marines we got out here? U.S. Marines. Yeah, there are the few, the proud, right? There are not too many of us. It's all two of us. I think there may be two more somewhere. Hoorah. My name is Stang. I'm the chapter president of Texas Oathkeepers. And at the time I have today, what I want to talk to you about is the Second Amendment. Consider, for example, the first phrase of the Second Amendment, a well-regulated militia. That phrase has probably caused more controversy and discussion than almost anything else in the Constitution over the past 150 years, right? What does well-regulated mean? Well, what does it mean today? You probably have a picture in your mind of the DMV in your mind, or the driver's license office, right? Is that really what it means? What did it mean in 1789 when they wrote that?
Well-regulated by us.
It meant well-trained, well-armed, well-prepared, and in proper or regular working order. How many of you were hanging out at your grandma's house and you saw the clock on the wall that says regulator? What did that mean? Did it mean that it made sure the time was ticking away correctly? No, it meant that it was working in regular order and it worked properly, right? That is exactly what well-regulated means in the Second Amendment. As an example, 60 years ago, what did the word gay mean? What does it mean now? Oh, something a little different, right? So, think about that. In 1789, well-regulated meant everybody was well-trained, well-armed, and well-prepared. And then the militia, of course, is every able-bodied person in the country ages 18 to 45. And you can even look at this in Title 10, Section 311 of the United States Code. And then you'll also learn that the National Guard is not and never was part of the militia. It was federal from the beginning. So when the National Guard puts up their poster that says we're 370 years old, I urge you to call the National Guard and say you're full of crap. And then you will talk to a Chief Master Sergeant who disagrees with you, as did I. But you need to read what the Second Amendment says, and you need to read what it meant back in 1789. There are two forms of dictatorship on this planet. There's a civilian form and a military form. The founders of this country decided to take the third way and secure the military power of a country in the hands of the people. That's what the Second Amendment is for, to retain the military power in the hands of we the people, so that dictatorship, if it came to these shores, would have a lot harder time manifesting itself. If we did not have guns, where would we be? We'd be in a lot worse place than we are now. You've all heard the quote from Yamamoto, the Imperial Navy of Japan admiral that led the attack on Pearl Harbor. What did he say about invading the United States? We've all heard it, right? There's a rifle behind every blade of grass. It would be foolish. There's still a rifle behind every blade of grass today, and there's probably a rifle behind every person in the country today. That's what it's about. And I'm not going to tell you what's going to happen or what people are doing, because I'm not a prognosticator, but I will tell you what has happened. In every country where genocide has occurred, it has always been preceded by gun control. Gun registration, gun confiscation, genocide. Over and over and over again. Even in Rwanda, they passed laws to take guns away from whoever they wanted to kill. Even in China, Soviet Union, Armenia, Turkey in World War I. Every single time, gun control has always preceded genocide. And it starts small with gun registration. And then it moves to gun confiscation. And then it moves to the cattle cars. Now again, I'm not going to tell you this is going to happen here. I'm not going to tell you it's going to happen. All I'm going to say is, it has happened every single time. Is it going to happen here? Not on our watch. Retain your guns, and you will retain your freedom. If you give up your guns, then the future is not going to look bright for us. But what do the founders say that a well-regulated or a well-armed, trained, and in regular working order militia was necessary for? The security of a free state. And they're right. Without free men owning weapons, the security of a free state is in question. We didn't always have a large standing army or standing Marine Corps or Navy or Air Force. For most of our history, the military was only maybe 50,000 people. That's not going to protect a country as large as ours. Think about the Canadians, 33 million people in a country larger than this. What were to happen if a foreign enemy were to land on the shores of Vancouver? We're going to throw beer at them? That'd be a waste of beer, right? The Canadians are screwed. The Canadian military is 30,000 people. How are they, yeah, NYPD's bigger. How are they going to defend the huge country of Canada? They're probably betting that no one's going to invade them, right? But you can't always count on that. So you've got to have something to back up the regular military and the regular armed forces. And that's why we have the American people. The second half of the Second Amendment says, the right of the people to keep and bear arms shall not be infringed. Are the people in the Second Amendment somehow magically different from wherever else in the Constitution says the people? It always means the same thing wherever it's used. The people is the people. Everybody. We the people. The Second Amendment is not for defending yourself against crime. It is not for going deer hunting or dove hunting or competing in competitions. It is not for any of those reasons. The reason for the Second Amendment is spelled out right there in the middle. It is necessary for the security of a free state. Now in Texas, we used to have a good law that pertained to the militia. In recent years that has changed, and the reserve militia is some amorphous mass of people that is not explained. The Texas State Guard is part of the Second Amendment militia. That's what it says in Texas state law. But the way the Texas militia law reads now is atrocious. The only thing I can see them doing is going into the River Center Mall there with a bullhorn and saying, everybody in the reserve militia muster up. And then you look at him like he had 6 heads. Who are you talking to? Well, the reserve militia is every able-bodied male in the state, right? That's what Texas law says. It doesn't even say that. It just says the reserve militia. So you have to wonder who exactly is in that. Are they trained? Are they well prepared? Are they well armed? Are they in regular working order? I can answer definitely negative to the regular working order because no one knows they're in it. No one knows that the Texas state law says everybody else in the country is in the reserve militia. The law in this state needs to change. But in the meantime, there is a remedy in lieu of the state remedy that you can pursue right now. It's called your county sheriff. Your county sheriff can organize a sheriff's posse, and you can be a part of it. You can be certified by CERT. You can be certified for search and rescue. You can be a volunteer firefighter, a reserve deputy sheriff. There are so many opportunities that we can work towards to restoring a true constitutional militia in this country. And that is what we need in order to remain free. Call your local sheriff. Find out where he stands on the Constitution. Find out if he's a politician or if he takes his oath seriously. At the first convention of the Constitutional Sheriffs and Peace Officers Association, we had 7 sheriffs out of 255 from Texas show up. I'm embarrassed. How about you? I live in Hays County, and my sheriff showed up to the CSPOA.
They wouldn't even answer our emails.
That's right. So, 6.5. Maybe. So we got a lot of work to do, Texans, right? We got 240 some odd sheriffs to talk to. Now, 3 or 4 of them are probably going to be not worth your time, right? Houston, Austin, Dallas. But we'll talk to them anyway, because they need to know that they are not doing their jobs. And they need to know if they're not doing their jobs, they might get kicked out of the next election. Isn't that right? Yes. We still have the ballot box and the soap box. We've got a couple other boxes. But let's work with the ballot box for right now. And if you are a military veteran in this crowd and you have not joined Oathkeepers, I see a couple active duty Air Force guys walking around here. If you're an active duty Air Force guy and you don't know what Oathkeepers is, you need to go to the internet and check us out. And if you're standing in this crowd with a rifle and you are not a member of Oathkeepers, what are you waiting for?
Get her done.
What are you waiting for? Get her done. Join Oathkeepers. Swell our ranks. But if you are a card-carrying member of Oathkeepers, you're just the tip of the iceberg. We have no idea what our true numbers are ideologically, and that's how we want it. Because if we don't know how many of us there are, nobody else does either. And the whole idea is that if someone gives, and it doesn't matter what political party they're from, it does not matter. Equal opportunity destruction of the Constitution happens on both sides of the aisle. Sometimes they even reach across the aisle to do it, right? If they give an order that is one of our 10 orders that should not be obeyed, we want to introduce a reasonable doubt in their mind that that order will be carried out. because none of them know how to operate an Abrams tank or drop bombs or calculate a dope for the next shot. They're totally dependent on the guys that actually carry out those orders. But if they have an idea that those orders might not be carried out, they might never give those orders. And that is the best solution, isn't it? We don't want those orders to be given. And what we've learned from talking to a lot of people is that up to 75% of everybody in this country's special forces is on our side. And up to 30% of the regular armed forces is on our side. I'll take those odds any day. Any day of the week. But why stop at 30?
I want 100%.
Let's hit 40. Let's hit 50. Let's educate every single person who has taken the oath to the Constitution, and let's tell them what they took an oath to and why they took it, and that they have an obligation, an individual obligation, to keep their oath. We applied that to Nazi war criminals who weren't even Americans, right? We told them, just following orders is not an excuse. After the firing squad with you. They weren't Americans, they were sworn an oath to our Constitution, but we still held them to that standard. Just following orders is not an excuse. What do the Park Service Rangers say in all the national parks that are closed? I'm sorry, we're just following orders. Sorry I shot your grandma, I was just following orders. Is that acceptable? No! Just following orders is never acceptable.
No!
Disobey!
Peacefully disobey. Tyranny will not happen unless unconstitutional orders are followed. In our ranks, in Oathkeepers in Dallas, there's a man named Günther Spence, who was a lieutenant colonel in the East German Army in 1989. He was the commander of the East German Infantry Battalion that kept the security of the Berlin Wall. He got a phone call one day. It said, Lieutenant Colonel, there are people trying to take down the Berlin Wall, kill them all. And he put down the phone and said, Nein! And the wall came down. He lives in Dallas, Texas. Watch this video on oathkeepers.org. And you can see what one man who says no can do. You think you're just one guy, you are. But one man saying no can change the world. I'd like to introduce next the founder and president of Oathkeepers, who is a disabled